Hey guys, I'm Stephan Kesting. This is Richie. Today, a couple of tips on really developing your single leg X guard. And what we're going to show is very similar, but it's the same idea taught in two different ways. So first, I like what you just showed me.
Sure.
So why don't you show me what you're showing your students these days about making a good single leg X?
Absolutely. So Stephan's standing, and how we get into the position, we're not really going to talk about entries, but I'm just going to throw myself into it. So single leg X guard, what you want to try and do is you want to connect the circuit. So imagine if there's electricity going through my legs, note how the light bulb will not go off. The circuit is open. I want to close the circuit, right? So this is critical. See how my knee connects to my heel. The second thing is that my knee goes to Stephan's hip, and then my hip goes to his knee. So, knee to the hip, hip to the knee. This is critical. Even though cosmetically, this may look like we're in single leg X guard, we're fighting from it, but note how there's really no attack on Stephan's balance. We need to get this heel on the hip, and we need to get the knee to the hip, my hip to his knee, and then we turn that light bulb on, all right, by connecting that and closing that circuit.
That's a good one to stay there for a
Sure,
second.
certainly.
So that's a very similar way of talking about, but a different way of talking about what I was working on with somebody. I was doing it more one-on-one. So what I was saying, just do a bad single leg X. Imagine that you're Richie, and I'm saying, look, this isn't the right single leg X. And I could either debug the individual things. I could say, lift the hips, squeeze the knees, this comes high, or I could say, make me unstable. Right now, it's stable. If you do everything right, if you lift your hips, clamp, connect the circuit, you see how my hands start coming up for balance. There's a really good cue for the guy on the bottom that you're doing it correctly. This looks pretty good, but I'm here. I could be taking notes, I could be sending a text. Start applying it correctly. Okay, as soon as my hands come up for balance and I start getting worried about my balance, he's doing it more or less correctly. Now, of course, there can be a few more tweaks as to where he puts his hands and exactly where he puts his feet. But unless I'm here, unless I'm worried about my balance, thank you, unless you get this tightrope walking effect, you're not even close to doing the single leg X properly, and you're really just waiting for the guy to peel the foot off the hip and pass your guard. So make the guy walk the tightrope and connect the circuit.
Absolutely.
So two different ways, two different and very similar ways of thinking about the single leg X. And once you start doing those things, I'm sure your opponent will start respecting it much, much more.